This is Sam Hyde. I've never heard of the guy before. He's apparently like a famous comedian, got a podcast and everything, and he wrote effectively a love letter to Elon Musk, shamelessly. This is before he did the Sieg Heil, by the way, but, we've known what Elon Musk's beliefs were for a very long time. He lived in apartheid South Africa. I mean, he grew up in apartheid South Africa. Let's listen to what Sam Hyde has to say about Elon Musk and how much he loves him here.
Glad I caught you. Glad I got you there. Elon Musk. Oh, by the way, please don't watch this if you're not Elon Musk, okay? This is a one-off video that we're doing. This is private, personal. I put this in his email. I don't know how you got this, unless you're on the Asmongold Discord server, in which case you know my every move, okay? Me and Asmongold have been planning this for a while now. Moist Critical's involved. And yeah, I guess if you're on the Moist Critical Discord server, you would have access to this file. So kudos to you.
I assume that's ironic because I think Moist Critical hates Elon Musk and is pretty left-leaning, to my knowledge. It's Penguinzo on YouTube. And to my knowledge, Asmongold is kind of just like a sucker, as far as I can tell. He just like believes whatever people tell him about politics. Wherever the political winds are blowing, he'll kind of buy it. But anyway, I'm assuming that they don't like this guy. I don't have any idea. I don't know.
Hacker. I don't think Elon's going to watch this. And listen, I know as a comedian, first and foremost, I don't expect people to take me seriously, but it is a fact that shitposting and public opinion are now intermingled permanently, and it's not going anywhere. And that's just the way it is. I get all my news from memes, basically. That's how I get my news. Is that how?
Wow, big surprise on that one.
You get your news? How would you even get the news if you weren't looking at memes? You'd watch a show? That's even more f***ing. We turn that off. It's a smart thermostat, so it's going to take 15 minutes to figure out how that f***ing thing works. It's very intuitive. I don't know why the Nest thermostat is taking you so long to learn and intuit. Okay, a toddler could figure
this is not funny. I thought you were a comedian, bro.
This out. A toddler on an iPad could figure out how to use the Nest thermostat. That's Chris Lynch, by the way, Elon. Do not hire him, okay? He's leaving this job very soon. See, he's white. He's too lazy. Chris, you're so lazy and white. Well, yeah. You guys
says you gotta hire an Indian.
Should have studied violin harder as kids. I swear to God, Vivek would have figured this out by now. I want to believe that Elon is one of the great men of our age and that he has what it takes to become a 21st century Andrew Carnegie.
Why is he doing this? This isn't funny. It's just like cringy and terrible.
I think it's important to have great men to look up to. Trump, Joe Rogan, oh, there it goes. Elon, Tucker. And it's not necessarily important that our great men are perfect, but they're symbols of what we could be. I think if Ron Paul took steroids, he would be my number one. That would be my number one guy. You agree? Yeah. I would like to offer you an escape, an exit from this hole you've been digging. You are a beloved figure. Anytime you do anything remotely based, people lose it. Oh my God, he's based. Yo, he just.
Okay, hang on. Let me look something up about Sam Hyde. Let me just verify. American comedian, co-founder of sketch comedy group. Yeah, okay. He's been heavily linked with the alt-right, garnered significant controversy. That's what I thought. All right, let's continue.
Lose it. Oh my God, he's based. Yo, he just said that woke liberals aren't cool. He's based. What does he say? Yeah, anytime you post an AI kitten in a MAGA hat, people lose their, he's based! He's fucking based, man.
I understand that some people seem to think he's funny, but I don't.
For the guy who's the...
Am I a bad person for agreeing with Trump's anti-DEI orders? You're not a bad person because I believe it's not from a bad place. However, it's, in my opinion, a bad position to hold. The law and diversity, equity, and inclusion are complicated matters, only complicated more by the history in the United States. I don't believe anybody should be discriminated against in the United States. Black, Indian, or white, or anybody. Nobody should be discriminated against, obviously. But the United States has a long history of systemically oppressing marginalized groups of people. Like minority groups have been like systemically oppressed for generations, countless generations. It's not the fault of any individual person necessarily. Like we just say, it's nobody's fault. That's just how it works. If you have, say, for example, a black sounding name, if your name is Tyrone, you are less likely to get the job than if your name is Bob. That is not a valid reason to not hire somebody. So DEI programs in an ideal world would like correct for things like that. Would make sure that like black people aren't being excluded just because they have names that don't sound white enough. There's no good reason for that. That's just one example. Now, white supremacists like Stephen Miller, for example, were put in charge of writing these executive orders that handle DEI programs and things, and have twisted this around to turn it into like white people are being persecuted because they are getting fewer jobs. No, I mean, yeah, I guess in the most technical sense, they're getting fewer jobs because black people are getting a fair number of jobs, or a more fair number of jobs now. But white people aren't being persecuted. You see, DEI is making this system worse. How? I don't believe you're coming from a bad place here. How do you see it, making things worse? You just type it in the chat and we'll come back to it. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, let's continue.
Free speech guy. And not only that, but the reasoning from first principles guy, the logical fallacy guy, the Reddit guy, good faith argue with everybody, whatever. All that shit. Blanket banning groypers, taking away blue checks, changing the algorithm of the site because 100 people ratioed you, because there's fucking 50,000 posts. They're all organic, by the way. This is not some Russian bot farm. It's not some nefarious behind the scenes, let's mess with Elon, we're gonna fuck with him. That's not what it is. It's you tapped into a moist critical. You tapped into a moist critical, and we're back to moist critical. Mainline concern for the American people. And you treated it in a way that was glib and dismissive. You just became a Republican 3 months ago, and you're talking about removing a big portion of regular people, root and stem. No. People fucking love you. They will forgive you. Nobody is trying to get you to become turbo base pilled, full Pat
I'm not sure I understand what the hell he's getting at here.
Buchanan immigration policy. People broadly understand that you are a San Francisco, tech, California, international immigrant. Well, if you want to be a regular tech guy, that's fine. You can do that. You can be Larry Ellison. You can go play on the boat. Nobody's going to give a fuck. Realize what you're fighting for. If you're going to be the tech king, if you've courted the MAGA base, you wanted these people on your side. They're ready to be on your side, but you have to fight not for Ben Shapiro's idea of the country of America.
A lot of right-wingers don't like Ben Shapiro because they're Nazis. Let me rephrase. Most right-wingers are fine with Ben Shapiro, but the right-wingers that are not fine with Ben Shapiro are only not fine with him because they believe that there's like a secret cabal of like Jews at the top that are trying to blah, blah, blah. So, what I'm hearing from him is I think Ben Shapiro is trying to blah, 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 control the world or whatever the hell he thinks. That's my guess.
The notion of America as this collection of ideas, that's not what it is. It's Americans. That's who you have to fight for. If you're in America, doing business in America, you want to be the man in America, you have to fight for the American people. You're not fighting for a paragraph. You're not fighting for a set of ideas, man. It's the American people who need your help. That's fundamentally why I think people are pissed off here. And it's an easy fix. Just don't call them.
You know what's like super cringy about this? The fact that this guy is like talking to some rando in the background that nobody can hear. Why is he doing this?
Elon, have you met Chris? He's on Asmongold. He's streaming all the time. You should just check him out. He's playing these games and stuff. He's amazing what the kid does with video games. I can't believe it. People didn't suddenly have a flare-up of India hate. I've been monitoring the Indian hate websites for a while. It's actually set to my homepage. I've been checking these websites out. I watch what these people do. There were very few overt Indian haters spewing their nonsensical filth everywhere 72 hours ago. What happened? Okay, 72 hours ago, most people in the MAGA base looked at Vivek Ramaswamy with some notion of admiration, or hey, that guy says cool stuff every once in a while. Hey, you know what? I think I like that guy. Now, he's got to be deported. Sucks, man. And he's not being deported because of the color of his skin. He's being deported for the content of his character. And I think that truly...
And all Indians are the same, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. Like, people can say it's the content of their character all they want, but that's just... You know, for the record, Hitler said the exact same thing. Jews are shifty and evil, and there's something in them that is just bad. They can't fix it, they can't change it, they can't marry into it. They're just bad people. So it's like we're listening to somebody justify exactly what Hitler justified in the exact same ways.
It was a mask-off moment where we saw that Vivek Ramaswamy really is just a f***ing nerd who needs to go back. I think that what you did is different. I think it's everybody spurgs out. I'm spurging out right now. I'm going to spurg out later, okay? On Chris, Lynch. And also, Indians do cool stuff every once in a while. They got the chest slapping, wrestling. You guys watch that action movies. He's shooting a bullet out of the air with a gun. He's flipping over the tuk-tuk. Indian clubs, shoulder rehab, exercise, fantastic. The hate. It's irrational hate. It's just racism. It's just a nonsensical racism. The hate and racism and anti-Indian sentiment, it's there to the extent that Indians are being used to replace white people.
That is a far right. Actually, this is the exact line that Hitler used. I don't like to keep going back to this. This is exactly what he said. Jews are replacing them. They're trying to take control of the government, take control of all of the levers of society. This is a conspiracy theory that has existed since the 30s. Well, since longer, honestly, but the 30s is when it was most obvious, at least, or most famous. And you know what? It's happening in South Africa also right now, and it's happening in the United States. They call it white genocide sometimes in South Africa. Just absurd. It's Nazi ideology. When somebody espouses this, it is Nazi ideology. I don't know if they're Nazis. I don't know. But they're repeating Nazi shit.
That's it. We have to stop playing pretend. We're not talking about exceptional Indians here. And that's why this is sort of spreading like wildfire. People sharing these H-1B lists of what the jobs are. You are not in Calcutta scouting for the next Indian Einstein. You're not. We have to make it to outer space and invent new computers. Let's get to India and get the next Nikola Tesla.
Bro, like this whole country is made of immigrants. Where do you think that we got all of our, God, what's the term I'm looking for here? It's on the tip of my tongue. Where do you think we got all the resources that we have who have invented so many things? Einstein, he says Indians aren't like Einstein. Well, Einstein was German. Is that what you're pointing out? Like, white Europeans are superior to, like, brown Asians? I think that's what he's saying. The reason that... All right, let me put it this way. sometimes you can see a disparity between certain groups of people. The Indian community doesn't. There are fewer Indians at the top of certain industries than there are like Europeans, or there are fewer black people at the top of industry. Why? It's one of two reasons. Either it's a social, an emergent property of a social state. Like they just didn't have the same opportunities. They didn't get the same education or whatever. In which case we can fix it. We can change it. We can give them those opportunities. We can make things more fair. Or it's genetic, in which case you're Hitler. You believe the same things as Hitler. It's one or the other. So do you think that Indians are just as capable as white Europeans? Or are you Hitler? It can only be one of the two. Einstein is an immigrant, Jewish, fled from the Nazis. Yes, he was Jewish, though he was pretty much an atheist. He was Jewish only in, what do you call it? Like only in the blood. I don't even, in Hitler's demented concept of Jewish, he was Jewish. And I guess he identified with that community. And he was from Germany, Jews from Germany. Anyway.
That's not what's happening. We're talking about people at f***ing gas stations. That you bring them over, you put them in a f***ing gas station, and then we'll go around all the gas stations in the USA and find the next genius. Well, what if he's not in India? What if he's working at a gas station in North Carolina? He might be there. We don't know. Why don't we bring everybody here, and then we can look for everybody? That's actually a fucking genius idea. We bring fucking everybody here, and then, like a needle in a haystack, we find the one man who can invent electrical computer.
Electrical computer. That can invent electrical computer. Never heard of that before. Love it. Love everything about it. Great name. The fact is that people have value in an economy anyway. Oop, hold on. YouTube giving me trouble here. I don't know. It keeps like going out on me for some reason. Anyway, humans have value intrinsically because they're human beings. And life is the most valuable, precious thing in the universe, in my opinion. Most of the people coming over the southern border, for example, are not immigrants. They're refugees escaping war-torn areas, which, by the way, have not been made better by the United States. Just popping that in your ear. And they're requesting asylum status. But you know what? Even the human element aside, even caring about people and their intrinsic value and the fact that we should try to help them, putting that aside, it's valuable to an economy to add more people to it. Bring in everybody, and it will increase the economy. Not exponentially, I get linearly. Would it increase it linearly? I'm not sure. Anyway, it would increase the economy dramatically. And like a needle in a haystack, every now and then, some of those immigrants are going to go on to do something absolutely insanely incredible. That's just how things work. There is no downside to immigration. Zero. I'm here to tell you there is no downside, except one that I can think of. I don't know what other reason these people would have for not wanting immigrants here, other than the fact that they're not white. What are the reason? You ever hear him bitching about German immigrants coming here? You ever hear them complaining about like the UK, about like UK immigrants coming here? No. Or Irish? You never hear that. It's always people that aren't white, like Indians, for example. It is purely about racism. That's it. It is no deeper than that. And especially in this guy's mind, because very clearly, well, maybe not so clear because you don't know who he is or whatever, but he is an alt-right extremist. He's pretty open about the fact that he's a neo-Nazi.
That sounds fucking and it's not true. You have to at least say that the H-1B program is being scammed.
Oh, that's right. This is on the H-1B thing. I don't know if you guys remember this. Elon Musk basically said that the H-1B visa program is a good thing, where they bring immigrants over from outside the U.S. who are skilled, who have education already and can support themselves already. They bring them over here to work in high-skill jobs. And H-1B is a complicated program to kind of work with. I understand you got to jump through a bunch of hoops and stuff. But it's almost like an indentured servant program. Like, people are not treated well in H-1B. And for that reason, I think that I'm probably against H-1B visas because they're taking advantage of people. I think that we should just, in an ideal world, just open immigration up a lot more. Like, throw the doors wide open, honestly. I've come to find that there is no reason to dislike immigration. No reason. None. So, anyway, let's continue listening here. Oh, yeah. So, anyway, Elon Musk said he is in favor of the H-1B program. Not surprised. Capital went out at the end of the day in his mind. He wants to make more money. He doesn't really care about immigration as much as making money. And Sam Hyde is ideologically in line with the white race, with making white people great, basically.
Say that the H-1B program is being scammed. If you don't admit that, then as far as like any type of discussion that goes anywhere is concerned, it's over. It's over. This is a direct quote from Moist Critical himself. I'm speaking on his behalf.
Again, Moist Critical is a YouTuber, and I would bet money that he does not like Sam Hyde. I don't think I've ever heard him speak about him before, but Moist Critical is pretty left-leaning generally. He's a pretty good guy for the most part.
He was too busy streaming Marvel Rivals to talk to you. So I'm here on his behalf, giving you opinions that he approved, okay? Nobody's expecting you to go full Steve Bannon here. You're a tech bro. We get it.
I appreciate that people recognize how absolutely unhinged Steve Bannon is.
Immigrant. But if you are on Team America, and by Team America, I don't mean Ben Shapiro's collection of ideas. America's not a collection of ideas.
Again, this is subtly anti-Jewish extremism right here. By the way, I hope you guys aren't bored to tears watching me like try to get rupees here. Like, I think I have like 10 minutes of this that I have to do to get enough rupees to buy like the bow and stuff.
America is a people, Americans. If you are Team America, then the most prominent talking points need to be the immediate deportation of illegals and the end of the abuse of the American worker by programs like this H-1B, the gamification.
I don't know if you guys caught that there, but what he said was, one more time. Let me just step back a few seconds. One more time.
It need to be the immediate deportation,
hang on,
collection of ideas.
Wait, here.
I don't mean Ben Shapiro's collection of ideas. America's not a collection of ideas. America is a people.
That right there is Nazi ideology. It was, that may have actually been American ideology before it was Nazi ideology. But Hitler used America's model in Germany, implemented the model, put it into effect, really liked America's race laws and things, really liked what America was doing with their race policies, with their anti-racial marriage stand and things like that. So this may have been American first, but it became German eventually. This is pure, unadulterated white nationalism. This is neo-Nazi ideology. We should be embarrassed by it.
Americans. If you are Team America, then the most prominent talking points need to be the immediate deportation of illegals and the end of the abuse of the American worker by programs like this H-1B, the gamification of stuff like this that's set up to benefit people who aren't us.
This is really sad. Again, I'm not in favor of H-1B, actually, but it's because of how badly they treat people, how they take advantage of others. It's not about this concept of like me being better than you or whatever, or you being like not as advanced as me or whatever the hell. Like, Jesus Christ, bro. That is crazy. That is a crazy thing to say.
Nobody wants to solve the Japanese birth rate problem by turning Japan into India. That's preposterous. That only would work in a computer simulation.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Us. Nobody wants to solve the Japanese birth rate problem by turning Japan into India.
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah. Wow, this is another Nazi talking point. Japan has a birth rate problem right now. They have to birth their way out of it, unfortunately. They have no other choice. Russia is paying people to have children, as many children as they can. I think they're paying like $10,000 for every kid over like 3 or something that you have. I don't even remember now. Because they have no choice but to birth their way out of it. America does have a choice. They have another way to do this. It's called immigration. There's going to come a point in time, and it's like right around the corner, where birth rates are going to fall through the floor on the planet because we have more people than the planet can sustain. That's just what it is. When that happens, any country, any demographic of people or whatever that doesn't continue adding to its economy is going to fail because countries have programs, social programs for people to reduce suffering, like Social Security, for example, pension programs. Germany had pension programs, universal health care, things like that. If there are fewer people joining the economy than there are entering the period of life where they need social programs, then there's less money going into those programs than is required. And it's going to lead to an economic crash. That's why birth rates are a disaster. If the birth rates fall, it's a disaster for a country. But we have the benefit here in the United States of being a country built on immigrants, or built by immigrants and on immigrants, I suppose. The dead bodies of immigrants, many of them. Anyway, we have that benefit. We don't have to birth our way out of it uniquely. We can swing our doors open and invite people in. The only downside to that is racism. Anyway, this whole Japan thing, Japan can't, turn themselves into India or whatever. This is just nonsensical, racist trash. Japan is choosing not to invite immigrants into the country because it's, by and large, full of a very race-centric culture. They're very zeroed in on race in Japan. And they kind of have almost like a caste system. Like, people can go there and do whatever and live a great life and have a good time. But, get married to a white guy for a Japanese person is, it's not acceptable for everybody. So in a lot of ways, Japan still kind of has the same, racist ideology, the same racist perceptions as everybody else, from extreme racist areas. They should make it the way to do, they should make it the way they do other visas with sponsorships. I came to the U.S. as a spouse, but once I became a resident, my marital status was irrelevant. Same should happen for a worker, Imho. Yeah, totally agree. I agree. Absolutely. That would be really good. But I don't hold your breath on that one. Of course. I'm sure you know as well as I do. Sadly, that's not going to happen. We can advocate for it, but I'm not holding my breath. I think that we're in a dark period of American history that, if we're lucky, will be remembered as a horror by history books. If we're not lucky, then it's going to be remembered as a golden age because it's going to be rewritten to be one. But it's a horror right now, actually. If for no other reason than because people live in fear that they're going to be deported any second. Friends and family members don't know what's going to happen next. They don't know if they're going to lose everything or what. This is a bad moment in human history. Bad moment in American history. So
that's preposterous. That only would work in a computer simulation where you can just change the code and make a Japanese person. I've tried it. It can't be done.
That's so funny. Wow, this guy is really funny. I totally get why he's a comedian now. Anyway, there would actually be no downside to that. If you want to if you want to grease the wheels, if you will, then create a program for people that are immigrating that will help them kind of integrate into society better. There are a ton of countries that have immigration programs that help people integrate into the society. In New York City, this is a perfect example of it. There are two types of communities here. There are melting pots and there are salad bowls, is what they call it. And salad bowl would be an example of, or I'm sorry, and a salad bowl, for example, would be like Chinatown right next to Little Italy, or K-Town, Koreatown, or whatever. A melting pot is how we all have the same New York spirit, if you will, the same style, the same everything. So the point is, you can mitigate the effects of clashing with people by just creating an integration program. But what does he want to do instead? Make people suffer instead. He wants to make people suffer.
In my laboratory, okay, where Asmongold is right now, down in the basement, I have tried over 150 times to turn an Indian into a Japanese man. And the only thing I was able to accomplish was boiling them. All right?
He's literally describing what like Nazi doctors did. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if it's a joke. I don't know, but that's a little on the nose, knowing that he's a Nazi.
If you think, Elon, or Asmongold, if you're watching this, if you think you can turn an Indian person into a Japanese person by boiling them, not going to happen, okay? Go down to my basement and talk to the 150 Indians that I already tried that on.
I don't understand why this is funny. I'm trying really hard to understand.
Doesn't work. Nobody wants to solve the American birth rate problem. What's going to happen? We're going to run out of people. Oh, the stock prices are going to go down. Oh, that's a problem for the All In podcast to figure out. It's David Sachs. Sachs of what? Sachs of gold? Just start calling yourself David Sachs of gold. What's the other guy? Jason Sachs? Asmongold? Asmongold. David Sachs should change his name to Asmongold. The branding is already set up for you.
I don't get it, nor do I think this is funny. I mean, there have been one or two times in this where I thought that he said something that was kind of amusing, but none of this is amusing to me at all. It's not funny. That is Dr. Mengele type stuff. Yes, specifically. I don't want to elaborate on it because it can cause real problems in people to hear what Mengele did, but I'll just leave it at that.
Asmongold wants to kill himself. You can replace his body and become the top streamer in America. I shouldn't say Asmongold wants to kill himself. I love Asmongold. That guy's classic.
I don't think he likes Asmongold. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know where the line is with this guy between ironic and serious. I do know that he's a huge Elon fan. He's connected to the alt-right, and he is basically he's like an extremist. So
it's ultimate. He's the best streamer. Is he good? I think he's good. I've never watched him. I just know his name is Asmongold. The only people who want to fix the American birth rate problem by turning America into India are fuckers. People are not interchangeable economic units. If they're not...
That is another Nazi talking point. People aren't interchangeable economic units. This is pure, unadulterated Nazi ideology. Are they interchangeable economic units? I mean, I suppose not everybody is different, but the everybody is different bit that he's drawing the line between every Indian is different from every white European. This is psychotic.
More than that, then that's just an extension of antinatalism. That's just nihilism. That's just people don't matter. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the universe doesn't care. Shit. The universe
I have no idea how he got there.
Cares. That's why we're here. It's understandable why a computer guy, why an engineer would think that or would want to think that, because it would make solving problems so much easier. We have hardwired group preferences, we have genetic memory, we have culture. This is not...
We have genetic memory? Genetic memory? The theoretical idea that certain memories, behaviors, or traits can be passed down from one generation to the next through genetic material, essentially suggesting some knowledge or experiences of ancestors could be encoded in our DNA and potentially influence our behavior without direct learning or sensory experience. It's a highly debated concept within science, with most evidence coming from studies on epigenetic modifications rather than direct inheritance of memories through genes themselves. Right. Genetic memory is not real, exactly. I mean, there's a type of bird, a cuckoo bird, whose mother doesn't build nests. It finds a nest, drops the egg in the nest that's already there, already has eggs in it. Cuckoo bird is born before the others, like cracks out of the egg before others, and pushes the eggs out of the nest. That is a genetic kind of behavior that is learned, I suppose, or whatever. Humans don't have that same type of deal. It does not work that way for human beings. I can't believe I'm sitting here saying this genetic memory shit. Are you saying that, like, you know what he's saying? This is the argument that Indians are genetically inferior to white Europeans. This is pseudoscientific nonsense. Oops.
Group preferences, we have genetic memory, we have culture. This is not learned stuff. It's so deeply
Culture isn't learned? Are you shitting me?
embedded in us that it carries on for thousands of years. Thinking of people as interchangeable units, while it would be useful.
You know how I know this is bullshit? Because you can take a person out of a culture completely, separate them from the culture 100%, and move them to a new one, and they will not have any of the traits of the previous culture that they lived in. None. If a white couple adopts an Asian kid, or an Indian or a Mexican kid or whatever, the kid does not display stereotypical behaviors or thoughts or ideas or whatever to these groups that this guy attributes to these groups. Is just made up. We need less skin color focus and not more. I'm not saying or implying in any way that all right, before I continue, I'll read the rest, but being colorblind isn't necessarily a good thing, because as you know, there doesn't have to be a racist actor in the system anywhere for people to suffer from, like, racist results. In fact, that's part of the problem, that there is no racist actor, but racist outcomes are happening. That's why those programs exist. So we have to acknowledge color to make things more fair. If our goal is to make things more fair, which mine is, then we should do that. We need less skin color focus, not more. And I'm not saying or implying in any way minorities are not qualified. Oh, I know. Yeah, I don't believe you're saying that anyway. I don't care if a company has 90% trans African American lesbians. If they're the most qualified, they should get the job. I just want everyone to be treated full equal. I agree, totally. I completely agree. DEI programs are not trying to favor one group over another. They're trying to favor fairness over anything else. And the name example I gave is a great example, in my opinion. Of course, I gave the opinion, so of course I think it's great. But it's a good example of systemic racism at work, where there is no racist actor, but it's still causing problems for everybody. Anyway, there's this concept in fascism that basically goes like this: critical thought or deeper thought is bad. We don't need to think any deeper than that. Like, it's surface level, and thinking deeper is for chicks, basically. For example, the idea that we just shouldn't see color at all is kind of a base level, it's a surface level analysis that doesn't really account for, like, deeper, more complex, nuanced parts of the subject, if you will. It's a lot more complicated than just that, obviously. Anyway, that's my take on it.
In a simulation or in an economic theorem, it strips them of their humanity. And by the way, it's one of the first steps towards any authoritarian dictatorship type system. It's one of the first steps towards Marxism, is thinking.
Oh my God, dude, here we go.
Thinking of people as just labor. It's a very gross, anti-human.
Okay, nobody's thinking of people as just labor. He said people are not interchangeable economic units. What that means is that European white people are superior to non-white people like Indians. He's talking about Indians here. That's what that means. That it has nothing to do with thinking of people in economic units or whatever. He's the one that brought this into the conversation. As a matter of fact, he's the one complaining about that. He says people aren't interchangeable economic units. Thus, we need the superior units, the ones that know how to do the job best because they will benefit our economy the most. And then says, it's kind of gross and Marxist for you to view people as economic units. That is literally what he is doing. Are you shitting me right now? Really?
Thing to think, just to appeal to the Redditor in you. That's middle brain shit. Stupid people at the bottom of the spectrum know that everybody is special. Everybody's special. Everybody's different and has their own thing. Cards know this.
Dude, how did that happen? I was looking away for a second and it's further away than... All right, whatever. Everybody is special. I'm not sure what he means by that. I don't know what that has to do with like economic output or whatever. It's like he's making fun of people for recognizing Nazi ideology when they hear it. It's like when Elon Musk threw up the Nazi salute, the Sieg Heil. Does it get any clearer than that? And now they're trying to convince us that that's not what it was. Does it get any clearer than Nazi ideology that we're listening to from Sam Hyde? And I was trying to tell me that it's not Nazi ideology, that I'm the one that's a Nazi? Are you shitting me? This is Donald Trump didn't even write the DEI stuff. It was some think tank, some like right-wing think tank intern probably that wrote it. Like Heritage Foundation, Family Research Council or something. I have no idea who writes these things. It was just some rando. It was not some big famous popular whatever. It's somebody that's repeating Nazi talking points from the top white supremacists in these organizations. This DEI stuff was not like, whether it's something that can be agreed with, it was not intended to decrease race discrimination. It was intended to increase race discrimination. It was written by people who are bad faith trying to hurt the black community. So I have to think about, what the ultimate goal or what the ultimate like end result is going to be. Oh, I only read one paragraph. Let me jump back up. Hold on. Where was it? I believe it should be based completely on skill set and ability. I want to start by saying I have been on the left for a few years and a Bernie Sanders level left-leaning for a year, voted blue, got strongly emotional, scared when Trump won. With that said, DEI artificially putting minority groups in job positions isn't helping. Make a law to make hiring have an anonymous element. Say, have the interviewer take notes, and then the end hiring is done by someone who looks at the notes without knowing skin color or name. Making skin color primary hiring factors, making the problem worse. The solution should be to take skin color out of the equation. Is that the end of it? Yeah. I get the sentiment, but it's actually making things worse because even just taking notes on if this person is whatever, is perpetuating a systemic problem that exists. For example, there are a disproportionate number of white people that work for, say, Procter and Gamble or whatever. Like there are 90% white people that work for Procter and Gamble, but there are 30% black people that live in this town. Why is that? There are reasons for that. The reasons are that they're they are historically they were redlined, for example, or they were locked out of college educations in the area or whatever. Trying to make it more fair for everybody should be the goal, in my opinion. Trying to make it so that, like, though there is no racist actor anywhere in the system, by the way, that's what DEI programs do, is make sure there are no racist actors in the system. But even then, there are still outcomes that are racist, even when robots are doing the job. Here's another really good example. Automated driving, like Tesla, for example, Tesla cars with their automated driving system, they had cameras that were watching for pedestrians and they'd slam on their brakes so that they didn't kill pedestrians if they saw one. But they were killing more black people than white people. Why, I hear you ask? Because black skin is harder for a camera to detect in the dark than white skin. That's not racist. That's just like an emergent property. That's just like a fact of the universe. We should see color in that situation, right? We should see color and fix it. There are situations in which seeing color makes things better for everybody. And that's what the DEI programs are intended to figure out. So, anyway, the car's not racist. The programmers probably aren't racist. You know, nothing in the system is racist anywhere along the line, but we have racist outcomes anyway. Hopefully that kind of outlines my position on it. Elon is, yeah, that's true, but we're not. Elon's not the programmer, and he's not even the founder, okay? He's a guy that comes in and pushes buttons to make things worse, basically. But anyway.
Geniuses understand that everybody is a unique product by and for their zeitgeist, or Zeitgeist if you want to go with the moist critical pronunciation.
Zeitgeist means spirit of the times. It's a German word, basically, to my knowledge.
Everybody is uniquely a product of their time and location and has their place in space and time.
All right, now I'm going to save this game here, and I'm going to save it across like all of my save files so that I can just load it in the future. This will be my new game. Save, done. All right. Now I can load it, and I don't have to go through all that stupid shit again, going through the claw game. I can just start here and save myself 3 hours. Literally, maybe it's been about 3 hours. I was doing it before playing today, even, so yeah.
The smart people know this, the stupid people know this. It's people in the middle with 110 IQ, which is the worst IQ to have, who think that people can just be pushed around and moved around and changed. They can't.
They can. Genetics do not determine a person's worth, capability, or value. They don't. That is Hitler's argument. That was Hitler. That was what Hitler said. You're repeating his words right now.
No hate towards Hispanics, okay? But that's why the room that I'm sitting in is covered in dust, is because the general contractor I hired used Hispanic labor. I didn't know. They laid down masonry cement. When I said I wanted polished concrete floors, masonry cement, you can't polish it. They left board marks and footprints in it.
So he's saying that, he said Mexican, right? He's saying that like Mexican workers are just inferior to American workers? There are cultural differences that exist between the two. That doesn't mean there's an inferiority there. Also, you may just not like the work you may not like the work that these people do. There are other Mexican groups that do a fine job. It's not a genetic thing like he claimed. It's a cultural thing which can be changed. It's either genetics or culture.
And I had to pay another crew of black people. Okay, shout out to Greg to come in here with jackhammers and get this shit dumpstered out of here. I went and hired my own blacks.
This is just sad.
I went in the ghetto and hired them by hand. That's how you need to hire blacks for SpaceX. And what you get is you get lower quality construction. You get lower wages for the blue collar workers who are here and fighting. You realize that people are fucking up against the wall fighting to make ends meet? Do you understand that the American people are on the ropes right now?
Does Sam Hyde understand refugees suffering terribly that are over here legally requesting asylum? Does he understand how bad their lives are right now? He doesn't care. You know why? They're not American in his mind. That's why. This guy sounds like an asshole. It's beyond that. It's not just him being an asshole. It's Nazi ideology is what it is. He is repeating Nazi ideology in a way that is most appealing to the largest number of people. Most people can agree that I've hired like a Mexican crew and they didn't do the job that I wanted. So yeah, he's just telling the truth here. But if he just came out and told people what he really thought, which is that they're genetically inferior, he said it earlier, most of the country wouldn't be on his side with this.
Your people are not the world, okay? It's the American people. That's where this shit is popping off. That's where you came to do business. The American people are your problem now, to the extent that you want people to pay attention to your opinion. And by people, I mean actual people, not Patrick Bet-David, not Ian Miles Chong, Scott Adams, not these fucking f***its that'll walk around sucking your ass because you have money and because you made an electric car. But to the extent that you want that, you have to protect the American people. You're all about being pro-natalism and increasing the birth rate. Why is the average dude gonna want to have kids when he can barely afford to live by himself and eat Domino's?
This is populist language right here, trying to appeal to people's anger and hate for an elite group at the top that is making their lives worse. This cabal that's controlling things and controlling people, and like the deep state. This is just populist garbage. Don't get me wrong, populism. Let me rephrase. Don't get me wrong. The filthy rich at the top, the oligarchs, they are a problem. But that's not the same as a deep state, trying to, George Soros, trying to control everything and get you microchipped and shit. That's the belief that he is espousing right now.
Hey, why isn't China importing infinity Indians right now? If it's such a huge economic advantage, why isn't China
racism
doing it? We need to do a naval...
And also, it's because China has, way too many people already. China has, 1.4 billion people or something, right? It's crazy how many people there are in China.
Blockade of China to make sure they don't get any of these amazing Indians. Every Indian that makes his way into China is a threat, because China will use their genius to get one over on us. That's the biggest threat this country's facing, right? I think we need to go nuclear. I think we need to say, if China imports enough Indians, it's like diamonds. It's like nanotechnology. Indians are like nanotechnology. We have to be willing to use nuclear weapons to keep China from getting these precious Indians. That's step one. Sounds right? Because it is. It's sub. Ever hear of a sub? By the way, Moist Critical coined that term, sub. Competing with China in...
Okay, I don't know if that's true, but either way, it's not funny. I'm not amused by it. I'm not offended. I just think it's dumb as dog shit is all.
In what sense? GDP? Making a number go up? Having software companies that are valued more highly? Competing with China in what sense? And at what cost? If the cost is making America look like Calcutta, that's not worth it. That's not a problem.
What is Calcutta? I've never heard of that. I didn't just say a slur, did I? What is that? Hold on. Oh, it's a city in India. Okay, now I know. Okay, glad I didn't say a slur, at least.
Price that we're willing to pay. People keep posting these aerial drone display videos of drones shaped like a dragon.
Oh yeah, that's China did that for New Year's or something, I think.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's something that a bright high schooler could do on a smaller scale, is it not?
On a smaller scale? I mean, anything can be done on a smaller scale. I could create a nuclear reactor on a small scale. Anybody can do anything on a small scale. This is not... And you know what? I'm not even sure if this is possible to do by a high school student on a small scale. That was a gigantic, impressive display. Is he just trying to downplay the accomplishments of, the Chinese? I don't understand.
Making drones move around in 3D space? How is that an impressive problem to anybody except boneheads who are mystified by drones in the first place? Look at this aerial drone display. It's a ballet of killer drones. How can we compete with that?
Why is he coughing? This is just odd.
That's what drones do. They move around in coordinate space. Who gives a fuck? Well, it's the low-hanging fruit of robotics that mystifies people. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Didn't we have more impressive shit in the 80s? Isn't this more impressive?
One. Hover. With no pilot.
Oh, yeah. I think this is, isn't this the anti-missile defense system or something? I don't remember what this is, what we're looking at here.
To compromise performance, even more unusual craft and propulsion systems have been designed and tested.
Why do we need to compete with them? Can't we just...
That doesn't seem more impressive. No, that is not more impressive than drones flying like in a coordinated way to create a really cool looking symbol in the sky. But okay, whatever.
kick their spies out and tell them to f off? When do I get some Chinese? Okay, am I not a big enough media figure that the CCP, is it the CCP, Chinese Communist Party? Why aren't they sending these hot spies to f with me? My for blackmail.
Why is he like this? Why does he do this? I'm going to have so much censoring to do. It's crazy. What is wrong with him? Why are people like this? Why are they shitheads? Why can't they just be normal human beings for once? I mean, we're talking about like a full-blown Nazi, so, you know.
When's that going to happen? China, I'm waiting, okay? I have 300,000.
Yeah, you know why? Nobody gives a shit about you. That's why. Because you're worthless and pointless, and nobody cares what you have to say or do or whatever. You add no value to the world. That's why there are no spies trying to get up on that. I can't believe... Is this the first time somebody has told you this?
YouTube subscribers, or 250,000 probably, 200,000? How much on Hyde Wars? If you have over 100,000 Twitter followers, you should demand that a hot Chinese spy comes and... Okay? You take video. Whatever. Why?
He is such a piece of shit, dude. Seriously. Why are people like this? Why are they colossal scumbags? Does he think that this is like funny, or is that what it is? Is it supposed to be funny? Or
why is that? Am I not popular enough to get this mingling?
No, you're not popular enough to draw the attention of the Chinese government.
To get Bing Bing over here? Ah! A Tesla Model X and Bing Bing over here. That's my price.
Holy Christ, dude. I'm going to have so much censoring. All right, jump forward. Yes, we get it. Ha, racism joke. That's really funny. All right, continue.
And at what cost? Competing with China is competing with literal slave labor, and that's impossible to compete with. It's not worth competing with. And nobody who has a real sense of what matters in life thinks anything about competing with China. We've been hearing this for 30 fucking years. As long as China has been an industrial nation, there have been headlines, The Economist. I remember this in the dentist office when I was a kid. China's looming on the horizon. We have to accept a lower quality of life immediately to compete with China. That's the thrust of every article. You, the American worker, you have to take less pay and accept more bullshit because there's a big boogeyman looming on the horizon. It's China for 30 years. Before that, it was Japan. It's constant. It's to keep...
Yeah, there's always something that people use to erode others' rights and interests and labor. We have to lower wages for everybody across the board so that we can compete with whatever, blah. We have to raise insurance rates to make sure everybody can be covered. We have to make it so that we limit how much anesthesia doctors use so that we can lower rates for everybody. But in the end, they don't end up lowering rates. They just decrease the amount of anesthesia that doctors can use. That's it. And the rates stay high. They don't improve our lives by lowering pay in any way. They just make our lives worse, and now we have less pay. That's how it works. That's how it has always worked. So every time we give a little bit, it's gone forever. Every time it's eroded, every time our rights are removed just a little bit, they're gone forever. We fight for everything that we have in blood. Every regulation, every union protection, it's all paid for in blood. Somebody died to prevent plutonium from being stored next to the break room. Somebody died so that they would set limits on how long somebody can be in a coal mine or they get black lung. Someone died for that shit.
Keep wages suppressed. It's to make you shut up. Elon doubles down in this tweet offering a full
Somebody dropping bowling balls on my ceiling again.
rest. It's to make you shut up. Elon doubles down in this tweet offering a false dichotomy. Either we have to have more legal immigration, or you, the person disagreeing with it, you want America to fail for your own personal gain. What personal gain are you talking about? You want America to fail for your own personal gain. What is Elon, what are you talking about? How does anybody personally gain from this? The only gain happening is in stock prices of tech companies. That's the gain.
Yeah. Again, wow, this is dark. I've never noticed this before. There are skeletons hanging in the background. That's nuts, right? Look at that shit in a kid's game that's cartoonified. Anyway, yeah. Again, I don't believe in the H-1B program because I think that it's just taking advantage of people and treating them terribly. But I'm not opposed to, you know what? I think I like the H-1B generally. I think I want it changed. Like, when you come here, you are a citizen. As Real Pumpkin J said earlier, like in a marriage. When you get here and you're married or whatever, you are a citizen, full stop. I like that idea. That way they can't be like manipulated by these companies.
That's where the gain is. Cui bono. That's who stands to benefit from this arrangement. This tweet, it's not first principles thinking. It's
wow, dude, I just died. I cannot believe I did that. God, did I save beforehand? Please tell me they let me start over at the last boss.
Fit from this arrangement. This tweet, it's not first principles thinking. It's not in good faith dialogue. This is a dishonest mischaracterization. Nobody's calling you a liar. People say things in the heat of the moment that are dishonest, though. This is a dishonest mischaracterization of the tens of thousands of people who are blowing up your website. This is not an own on Elon. This is not dunking on Elon. I know that you can bring the ban hammer down, and I know that you are going to be tempted to do so, that you already have with the Groypers, which, by the way, you have to undo that, man.
If you don't know the Groypers, they are Nick Fuentes's group of followers, and they are Nazis, like self-avowed, Hitler-loving, I am a Nazi type of people. And I think that, I don't remember did Elon ban the Groypers? Is that what it was? Being resident slightly below a citizen, but you have most of the same rights. They should become residents just like spouse of Americans who are brought here. Like green card? Do they not get green cards when they come here? That's wild. Interesting. I thought they would get green cards. Wow. Okay. Yeah, they should definitely get green cards. Because if I remember correctly, I looked this up a while back, it starts with a visa. You can come here for extended periods of time, like 6 months or something, I think. And the next step is green card. And you have to like apply for that, I think. And there's a whole process. And you have to keep your green card for basically 5 to 7 years or so. 5 years before you can get citizenship. And citizenship is a big, long, complicated process of taking tests and all kinds of things. I guess they're basically just here on a visa, though, huh? On H-1B? That's kind of crazy.